and pried the stone from its resting spot. It moved easily and wasn't heavy. Soon, I was feeling beneath it for the tin box Mrs. Gutierrez had assured me would be there. Except that it wasn't. There was nothing beneath my fingers except damp soil. That's when I heard it, a twig snapping beneath the weight of someone nearby. I froze. I was trespassing, after all. The last thing I needed was to be dragged home by the Carmel, California cops. Again. Then, with my pulse beating frantically as I tried to figure out how on earth I was going to explain my way out of this one, I recognized the lean shadow, darker than all the others, standing a few feet away. My heart continued to pound in my ears, but now for an entirely different reason. "You," I said, climbing slowly, shakily to my feet. "Hello, Suze." His voice, floating toward me through the mist, was deep and not at all unsteady. Unlike my own voice, which had an unnerving tendency to shake when he was around. It wasn't the only part of me that shook when he was around either. But I was determined not to let him know that. "Give it back," I said, holding out my hand. He threw back his head and laughed. "Are you nuts?" he wanted to know. "I mean it, Paul," I said, my voice steady, but my confidence already beginning to seep away, like sand beneath my feet. "It's $2,000, Suze," he said, as if I might be unaware of that fact. 2,000. "And it belongs to Julio Gutierrez." I sounded sure of myself, even if I wasn't exactly feeling that way. "Not you." "Oh, right," Paul said, his deep voice dripping with sarcasm. "And what's Gutierrez gonna do, call the cops? He doesn't know it's missing, Suze. He never even knew it was there." "Because his grandmother died before she had a chance to tell him," I reminded him. "Then he won't notice, will he?" Despite the darkness, I could tell Paul was smiling. I could hear it in his voice. "You can't miss what you never knew you had." "Mrs. Gutierrez knows." I dropped my hand so he wouldn't see it shaking, but I couldn't disguise the growing unsteadiness in my voice as easily. "If she finds out you stole it, she'll come after you." "What makes you think she hasn't already?" he asked, so smoothly that the hairs on my arms stood up, and not because of the brisk autumn weather either. I didn't want to believe him. He had no reason to lie. And obviously Mrs. Gutierrez had come to him as well as me, anxious for any help she could get. How else could he have known about the money? Poor Mrs. Gutierrez. She had definitely put her trust in the wrong mediator, because it looked as if Paul hadn't just robbed her. Oh, no. But like a fool, I stood there in the middle of her backyard and called her name just in case, as loudly as I dared. I didn't want to wake the grieving family inside the modest stucco home a few yards away. "Mrs. Gutierrez?" I craned my neck, hissing the name into the darkness, trying to ignore the chill in the air and in my heart. "Mrs. Gutierrez, are you there? It's me, Suze. Mrs. Gutierrez." I wasn't all that surprised when she didn't show. I knew, of course, that he could make the undead disappear. I just never thought he'd be low enough to do it. I should have known better. A cold wind kicked up from the sea as I turned to face him. It tossed some of my long, dark hair around my face until the strands finally ended up sticking to my lip gloss. But I had more important things to worry about. "It's her life savings," I said to him, not caring if he noticed the throb in my voice. "All she had to leave her kids." Paul shrugged, his hands buried deep in the pockets of his leather jacket. "She should have put it in the bank then," he said. Maybe if I reason with him, I thought. Maybe if I explain. A lot of people don't trust banks with their money. But it was no use. "Not my fault," he said with another shrug. "You don't even need the money," I cried. "Your parents buy you whatever you want. $2,000 is nothing to you, but to Mrs. Gutierrez's kids, it's a fortune." "She should have taken better care of it then," was all he said. Then, apparently seeing my expression, though I don't know how.